Right. What up, what up, what up? And welcome back to another Stone DM. We got guests again. It's the first guest, and this time you'll be able to hear them better. And, you know,
We're back.
they're the best guests, right? So they got
We're
the
the
most views
repeat
so
guests for the
far.
first one. Yeah,
Oh,
we're the
yeah, that's
veterans now.
true. That's true. We did have a session yesterday. Charlie, our dragonborn monk, he took a little bit of a beating.
A little bit.
How does that how does it feel when you come so close to being knocked down and like a little bit of adversity finally in the combat area?
Well, so yeah, um, I got the crappy rolls from the DM here, and I got down to 1 hit point. So I guess a little bit lucky, but still pretty terrible. Yeah, normally it's like I think a couple of us has been down in the past, and it's like it wasn't that serious of a fight, and it's usually like you could tell it's like almost at the end anyway. So it's like, all right, this is whatever. It doesn't. We'll figure it out. But like, yeah, yesterday got me down to that 1 hit point, and I think the Hydra still had like 11 heads, and they just kept coming. So it's like there wasn't, from our point of view, any end in sight. So we're pretty sure, we're pretty sure somebody was going to die.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
Bubo, you took in our, the session beforehand because we had finished, started in one, finished in another. You had taken a major onslaught from this Hydra just outright right away, and you petitioned for everyone to run. Um,
Yes.
Granted, nobody did. You did end up getting the massive killing blow on this thing. Like, did you get the little bit of feeling of like a vindication there, or like you fuckers
Google.
need to listen?
Well, the thing is like, you know, it because we just got to that town and then we were like trying to be kind of stealthy, but then all of a sudden this thing just started charging at us, and it's nothing Bubo's ever seen in real life before, and it was huge. And then immediately it was like, fuck you, Bubo. So Bubo is like, oh my God, we can't handle this. Like, we've been getting lucky. We need to run. Like, this is bad because she was so close to death. And then, nobody's listening to her. And, by the time she makes that final blow, like, she doesn't even have her eyes open because she's preparing to die. Because like going back to it, like I think it was the Atu that we fought that also like had us in grips and stuff.
Yeah, drug Charlie underwater and
Yeah. So that was like she was getting some like flashbacks to that where it's like, oh my God, like we're gonna die because Charlie was so close to death then too.
Aggie's
So
flying through
Bubo
the
was ready to
air
run.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, we had like 3 people like pretty hurt, and then another one was like, yeah, grappled in the air. It wasn't looking good, and this was like minutes after you were like, oh, you guys should be able to handle this. Why are you running?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna change it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Bubo, like, even though she got like the death blow on it, it's still kind of like compared to the rest of it, like she's still in a little shock. Like, oh my goodness, this is just a crazy world. Like she just wants to go to the forest now and see what that's about and see if like there's anything there that could make her feel more prepared because she already feels pretty unprepared and she keeps encountering these monsters that almost take her out. So
right.
she's a very small owline in a big world.
Yeah, you've not provided the easier fights on your custom campaign, which is it's good. I mean, we need challenges.
Well, generally the harder ones have been the bosses, but the Hydra was not a boss per se. It was just a giant being that happened to be there.
Oh, it might as well have been a boss. Like it's starting to feel like some like Dark Souls style, like where every time we go in a room, it's like a huge boss that we've never seen.
um, things are going to be getting a little bit more interesting as you guys ramp up your level a little bit. I do try to find interesting things that we haven't seen before. monsters that do things that we haven't experienced, or even scenarios that, um, like the Atyug. There are things with that fight that I could have done that we haven't seen before that are
Yeah.
gonna start coming up, and like the Atyug where he lives, with you going in that water, you could have got diseased
Oh,
or like
nice.
some kind of like sickness, so we can
Yeah.
start introducing stuff like that, and you guys potentially going back through the swamps, we can start doing a little bit more with some scenario stuff too. But it also comes down to your guys' roles and your daily stuff. So
Well, even it was a couple of sessions ago that we got like true exhaustion for the first time because like in previous campaigns
Mhm.
when we've even tried it, it's like, all right, you got like level 1 and that's gonna go away in like a couple hours. But like two of us hit like level 5 and it was
4,
like
yeah.
or 4, yeah, and it's like, well, shit, like it's gonna be tough. But luckily it was a lot of travel after that, so we kind of knocked that off quickly. But like it could have been bad
Well, and
in a good way.
stuff like that too, I think is really cool to experience and like vicariously experience for the other characters, especially when we're doing like those long traveling periods where it's like, okay, you travel and now we're long resting, and you travel, we're long resting because it's like a couple of days to get to some place. So doing that, knowing we're exhausted and okay, what could we encounter on the road adds like another layer of suspense to it that's really cool.
Yeah, here
So
comes
I
that
do like
damn
that kind of
T-Rex again, and now you guys can't fight.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
exactly. We're all gonna die from the T-Rex. That's the T-Rex.
Disadvantage on all your rolls and everything. You can't move.
Yeah,
Exhaustion can get tough, and there's different ways to do it. And I've considered either way, because there's also the old school way where you just get, like, you were at level 4, so you would just have -4 to all your rolls. And if you reach level, like, 10, you're dead. Like, in this, if you reach 6, you're dead.
Right.
And so, like, it does happen, but I don't really see anyone ever going to 6. I don't know how you get there.
Easier to remember, but
like
still.
I'm not saying it can't or shouldn't happen, but I feel like if like a DM just forced like a 6 on somebody like without giving like a lot of warning, like that would just be like shitty.
Well, that's what I mean. It's got to be like a lich or something that
Right.
has like a spell that's just like exhaustion until you're dead.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you would ever get to a 6th level exhaustion.
Like I guess you just skip your rest every day, and it's just like the DM's like, all right, listen, if you don't sleep like tonight, like you're getting another level, and if you don't get it like 2 days, you're like gonna die.
Right, but like then it's just the player going, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
DM, and it's like, well, then, okay, you're dead. Like,
Yeah.
congrats.
Right. But like I said, you could like easily be like, well, this monster shot the exhaustion spell on you, and you're just fucking dead. And like, sorry.
Right. Well,
Yeah. That would,
like I can imagine you getting like 1 or 2 levels, like having to like
yeah.
run to or from a place.
Exactly.
But like 6.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Because like I'm a huge fan of like I mentioned before, like when we were like doing battle and just playing, like I'm a huge fan of like the environment and what we can do with it. Like, combat's fun, but it's also like there's a list of spells that we're like getting used to, and it's like they can be kind of similar. So it's nice when you have like different environments and scenarios, and like going with that, like exhaustion. Like I really love mechanics, like adding to just the regular gameplay and like keeping track of that stuff. Because like even when we were doing Roxy's last campaign, we were doing like some of the buying and selling, and like actually like really focusing on that. Like that was that game's kind of mechanic, and like your game's introducing like exhaustion and other things. So like I really like throwing those in there without it being like overwhelming too. So it's like things here and there.
Oh man, I forgot what it was. It was. I don't remember.
I lost it. It'll come back.
I'm sure it will at the most inopportune time.
Well, I think your little podcast name here, Stone DM, gives you a lot of leeway on to be able to forget things. That's like part of it. Like it's not a detriment.
It's to be expected.
Right.
You guys do have a lot new items and stuff like that for buying and selling even in this world, so we do get to play with that. I don't have a layout like Roxy did. She went hard on that. It was really fun too, like getting the print and like having a list and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And so that's what I was gonna say is the environmental stuff. I'm not really good at explaining or describing what the environment might look like or even what the monsters might look like. But like you being the acrobatic monk, like if you ever have a moment where you're like, is there a rock or like something to hang from, jump from, climb over, like either just say it's there or ask me if it's there or like.
Well, I think that's where like you did a good job because when we fought the Naga, he was like across some water, and I was like, well, I have the movement, but like I know water's gonna slow me down, so like I don't know if I can make it across. And you're like, oh no, there's a wall here. You could just like we're gonna have you run up that wall, and it's like I got over there. So it's like yeah, you're thinking about it.
I'm trying, but that's like all you got. If anybody ever has any ideas like that, just to flavor things up a little bit more, like.
I think that's one thing we can definitely do is flavor things and ask more because yeah, like there's a lot of environments and like we have a monster and it's like cool, I'm gonna attack the shit out of it, but like yeah, what's around? Like what can we do with it?
Yeah, I think, fail a lot on that, but
well, the also in Roxy's campaign when Michelle's last character, you know, the one monster was on top of that like ledge, and you're like, I'm gonna hop up there, like just even viewing that.
Oh yeah.
So scary.
Yeah.
Just flying through the air.
Electric fucking. Oh my god. That's our teammate.
Yeah.
Glad she's on our side.
Yeah. What a team to have your whole team afraid of you the whole time, and you're not even really that aware of it.
Terrified.
But yeah, I mean that's sort of stuff like I've been playing different classes every campaign so far, so I haven't really had a repeat one. So it's kind of interesting, like with each class, how I feel they would like interact with the environment too. Like it makes a lot of sense for like a monk to be like asking, you know, are there walls or something?
Yeah.
Because I remember Eric's character when he was playing the monk, like I think he went like down a whole hallway of traps, just you know, running along the wall. He was able to do that. So it's like kind of cool to do that for different classes. The druid character so far, I feel like Ubo is really going to start to like flourish after her experience in the Dark Forest. So I think her even interacting with the environment is going to look a little bit different after that, but have to wait and see what that looks like to begin with.
Well, you just did the wall of frost with the staff, so it's like you're kind of already experimenting as the character with like, I can manipulate like the environment and these kind of things, and like use nature and stuff.
It's like a little bit, because even, you know, she is a druid, so she can wild shape, but she's Circle of the Stars, so she uses more of her starry form, and she's used it a couple of times. But even that, like, utilizing like what kind of animals she can turn into, I feel like she'll get more comfortable using.
You don't wild shape at all. Like you do the starry form.
Yeah.
You also have finally been asked outright, like, where your magic comes from. And nobody's really, like, inquired in that before, because they asked if you were, you know, the incantation, like the wordsmith, or if you were from the gods, you know? Like, and Bubo doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
The druid magic is not a well-known magic in the world.
Yeah, that's what Act 2 is about. Like, we got to figure that out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Bubo's story.
I'm very interested to see what that's gonna look like.
And I mean, we still got your visions and the druids, and are they the same? Are they different? Like, does any of that matter to you?
Well, and Lafian's tasked with making sure I'm okay, to where I seem to be important according to Mirdrin for some reason
Well,
that
I
he
mean,
doesn't know.
a lot of that could also go back to him just being like your father figure.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah, Lafian, he's got a lot. He's got you to protect. He's got Aurelia, and now possibly the scribe woman.
Now a girlfriend.
He's busy. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
busy.
Lafian's got a lot on his shoulders these days.
um, she. I solely thought her up just to see if maybe there was an interest between Lafian and Aurelia. Because, like, sometimes you kind of get the idea that there could be, and we haven't had romance
Yeah.
at the table.
Yeah.
So, like,
Right.
if it's there and we can try and get it to happen, like, I don't know, I'd like to see something like that happen at some point. Like,
Well, we were gonna do it with our characters, Sai and what was your...
Blaze.
No, your what was the
Lady Eris.
Iris.
Oh yeah, Lady Iris. I didn't know which campaign. you
Yeah,
were talking
and
about.
we were gonna try to like incorporate that more, and it's just I don't think it really there was like a good time or way to bring it up.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like where our, like character arcs were going, but that was more like post campaign stuff.
Yeah, but I think Lady Iris was just ultimately really turned off by how you turned out.
Oh well, yeah.
So that wasn't gonna.
I was never gonna
happen.
change the character, so yeah, I don't know. There was no redemption for that character.
Well,
No.
that's even why I asked you to be related to me for our characters, because, like, just a little bit extra dynamic between the group or two people in the group, I think, would be interesting for us to role play through.
Yeah, because that's what I thought you were talking about was for Eric's campaign.
Oh yeah.
What was his name?
Don John.
Oh, Don John. That's right.
Raskin.
Don John.
Yeah, we were like sleeping together like
Yeah.
after the first night.
Yeah, and that was probably definitely gonna run with that too. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Then that one, yeah,
It was gonna be obnoxious.
yeah, it was gonna be very obnoxious. And we knew it too. But yeah, I think Aurelia and Lafian, there's like, it's the could they, couldn't they kind of story, and now you got this like third person that's like gonna either mess it all up or trigger something to happen later. I don't know. That's where they got to take their characters.
And I love how Charlie's just like antagonizing it without even
Yeah,
knowing.
because I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah,
I like that.
The table reacted very quickly to all of that.
Well, I think that was the first time in all of our D&D sessions we got some like like some really like TV sitcom kind of vibes, like trying to put them.
But yeah, I would like to be able to dress up the combat and stuff a little bit more, and like if you guys got any ideas or like a chandelier in a room, like that'd be great. Like,
yeah,
I'm open to all that, even if you just pull it out of nowhere, like how you wanted the bathroom guy, how you wanted him to come out in the castle.
Joe Grizzly.
Yeah.
Well, even cover, like, that's one thing I forget that exists, because like when we were doing my campaign, like I'd have the enemies use cover. I was trying to encourage everybody else to kind of like remember this is a mechanic. I don't think we've done cover since, including myself. Like, just forget about it.
Yeah.
And that's because sometimes we're just a little overpowered, but
like, because like when I was Narai, I took sharpshooter, which gets rid of cover, but it's like that's not why I took that feat.
Right.
But yeah, that's stuff we could use more, because cover helps your AC.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of combat stuff, but
yeah, we gotta ask about it. We gotta remember these things. I'm gonna have to like make a cheat sheet of like environmental things, like not just like actions, but like what is in a room that I could use, like chairs to throw or hiding, like stuff like that.
I just need like a list next to me as a jumping off point, especially when we skip a week and I forget how to play.
Yeah.
Just like, what do I do? What does this mean?
Well, I mean, that's like where you had concentration on the one thing and almost missed your turn because you didn't understand that you could take another action as long as it didn't mess up the concentration, and that's kind of a crazy concept, right? It's like, how can I concentrate on one thing, cast another thing, and still be concentrated? Like,
yeah, it just didn't make sense to me because I haven't done that in so long. I'm like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, oh
like,
wait, yeah, I can.
anything would technically break your concentration, right? Like, but no.
Think.
um Speaking of older characters, if you guys would want to replay a class that you've already done, would you want to bring a character back, or would you want to rebuild again?
Personally, there's so much potential for doing like everybody brings back a character from a different campaign and see how those characters mesh. I would love to do that.
That would be fun.
Oh,
Like,
like different ones from different campaigns?
oh yeah, like just I can't even begin to state the possibilities, but just everybody, yeah, everybody's got such unique characters that I'd love to see how they'd mix with other ones. Like there's just so much roleplay potential there.
I would do an all-star campaign.
Bring all the bards.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. Because I think
Cackler, Baff, Calliope, and Herringon. What's the Tricks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tricks.
Tricks.
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be insane. I would love to see that.
That would be probably the only reason I'd be interested in bringing back a character, because I feel like all the characters kind of like played through their character arcs, and like they could come back for a reason if it seemed good enough. But I like just making new character stories, so I'd rather just like pick a new class or pick a different class and just like make a new character of that class.
Yeah, like similarly, like on the same vein of that, like I would love to bring back all of the characters from the first campaign to see how we'd roleplay them now that we actually know how to roleplay, and not just like, how do I do a spell? Now it's like, okay, now I can actually focus that energy into what I would have done with the character, and not been so like worried about it.
That could be interesting too.
Are both of you guys committed to playing all the classes before you redo a class?
I pretty much am.
Yeah, I'm mostly committed to that. There might be a couple I skip. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. I'm not like terribly interested in like a ranger, for instance, but it doesn't mean I might not be at the time. Like, it just depends.
Yeah. I know like people really like playing cleric, but that's not one I'm necessarily like looking forward to playing a lot, because I feel like it's kind of similar in some ways to like just other classes I've played. It's just its own class. Like it kind of reminds me of Paladin a little bit, but I know it's not. It's different.
There's different subclasses and stuff, but
yeah.
What about yourself? Because I know you weren't interested in like even a bard, right? Was that the one? Like you just don't want to do it. So like, would you want to try everything, or are you gonna skip around and repeat?
I have determined that most of my characters right now are probably going to be classes that I have zero interest in playing, just because I want to learn how they work.
Yeah.
So that way when other people bring them into the game, I can have a grasp on it.
That makes sense.
Like for Roxy's campaign, I want to do a sorcerer, and I have very little interest in ever doing one of them. It's not that I don't want to be a bard, it's just I don't have any ideas for one.
Yeah.
And like I have ideas for other stuff that I really want to do more. But like the one thing that I really want to play is the halfling barbarian, but he doesn't fit anywhere. And like I think I would, probably be a little too reckless. He would die, and I'd be upset.
Maybe.
But I also really want a character death, so it's like.
Well, you don't think it would fit potentially in my campaign, or is it just you're not wanting to add a barbarian, like a halfling into that, or like?
Well, for yours, because yours, I'm either going to do the barbarian or the monk. and
Okay.
you said that they were pretty similar as far as your idea for a story.
Yeah.
So I haven't really solidified it yet, but I think the monk would be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And
Yeah, it's obviously up to you. Whatever you want to do.
and I do want to be a dragonborn. I think that would be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
But and also the halfling is kind of like, because they can't use technically the heavy weapons, because you have to be medium or bigger. If you're a small creature, you can't use. Well, you can, but I think it's at disadvantage or something, which could be fun for flavor. But like, the whole point of having a barbarian is be able to use the biggest weapons.
Right.
So it's like shit, you know.
Is there a feat that you could use the heavy weapons on that? Like I can't even think if there is.
No, it's just because you're small.
Okay.
There is a fix where you can just say that your strength being so high allows you to do it, and
Sure,
you just ignore the size thing, which is reasonable, I'd say.
I
But,
mean,
like,
if I was running a campaign, I wouldn't give a shit. Like it's just you're a barbarian, just do it. I don't care.
it's also a thing that you probably wouldn't even remember halfway through.
No, I wouldn't. I'm probably not gonna remember.
It makes sense if you go through the trouble of becoming the class of a barbarian, regardless of size. You'll figure it out and you'll be able to do it. You know.
But yeah, I just want to play him just because I think it would be fun to play his story. But most of my characters are built around like jokes, so like.
Well, everybody's is, or well, mine are.
Mine are very, very serious.
I come in with like one very specific line from a TV show, and like that's my entire character arc.
Yeah, literally. Like, it's like the day before a campaign, and I'm like, okay, I have all these pages. Like, this is what my character's all about. Did you do anything yet? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Like, and then just within like an hour, it's like some random like inside joke happens, and he's like, I found my character.
Well, like I have to explain one because I don't think anybody even knows. But like Cackler, you know where Cackler came from? So I'm thinking the whole time, I want this character that's like Kramer from Seinfeld, where he's like a little bit of a goofball, but like what he's really kind of known for is kind of like having all these like side gigs and businesses that like just kind of like amount to like all this success and everything. And I'm like, all right, that's gonna be like my motivation. And like for some of it kind of like panned out, but it didn't really go the way I wanted to, and I think it went better. But like I was trying to think of a name, and I'm like, all right, how do I don't want to obviously just do like Kramer or something like that. And I found this YouTube channel, and what it was a bunch of AI generated Seinfeld episodes. So like literally it was just like this made up dialogue that was like just like nonsense, but it was like fucking hilarious.
24/7.
Oh yeah, 24/7, and like every episode, if you want to call them episodes, was like unique. So you'd have like a 2-minute episode, and then it would go on to a new one, and it's just like it's this really shitty animation moving around an apartment that's just like janky as hell because it's just made on the fly by a computer. And one of the like they had names, and one of them, like Kramer's name was Cackler, and I'm like, it's fantastic.
So Charlie is a little bit of an incarnation of this.
Charlie came out to be more of the Kramer character than Cackler ever did, and instead of like doing jobs, it's like, even though it is jobs, it's more like he's trying to find his like place, like what he wants to do versus just trying random shit, and it kind of just like blends in like very well.
That's hilarious. Cackler was so fun. I loved playing alongside him.
Oh my god, Cackler was hilarious. Every 5 seconds, he's trying to start a fire.
He was the bane of my existence.
Again, he hated you just because what was my reasoning for that?
You thought he stole a coin.
Oh yeah, I thought you stole something, and I realized I just lost it. It was in my ear.
Yeah, your lucky coin.
Yeah. So like decades of hate because I thought you might have taken something that I wasn't even positive about.
I immediately had to buy you a new instrument to join the party.
Yeah. And even after I found that out, my wish was to go just tell your parents how much I didn't like you.
Out of all the things that Cackler could have had.
You got a golden chariot, though.
Golden chariot to get there, too. But yeah, I'm not sure if you had any specific questions. I just wanted, before I forgot, I thought yesterday's campaign was I really love the, like, I would call it like a twist, but the scenario we got put in at the end where it's just like, all right, we've been talking about it for weeks. We're going to the Dark Forest, and then Aurelia's mom calls and like, you don't fucking move. You're staying here. If you leave, I'm gonna be pissed. End of session. So it's like, yeah, now obviously we haven't talked about it, but now it's like definitely like, well, are we leaving or do we got to wait here for like 3 days and like really screw things up? So it's gonna be interesting. Did you know you were gonna kind of like lock us in there?
I didn't know she was gonna use the scroll.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just left that as an option.
Yeah.
Because you guys did find scrolls, you know. Because my understanding is there was a giant blacksmith, general store, you know, whatever, that were all crumbled. So you're gonna find a lot of good shit. Like, so I figured that spell could be there if, you know, she wanted it to be there. But she was just gonna write a note. But since she didn't,
yeah,
she contacted and had excuses why she was obviously not going to make it in time.
Yeah.
She was like, all right, I understand you're helping, so I'm not going to, like, come get you, but, like, we need to figure out what's happening, because you're too important to be just running around the countryside.
I mean, yeah, it's, the logic is there.
Everyone will be happy to see Elliot.
So technically, I was just waiting for her to contact her mom in order to, like, figure out how that was going to work. But since she was obviously not trying to go home, I had to send someone, and I figure Elio's a good option.
That's the dream, yeah. That's what we're all. That's why we're playing.
Now, I fully believe that Aurelia will not tell anyone about this, and you guys are leaving immediately.
Probably.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, she's probably not going to tell anybody.
And as long as you get Aggie to go with her travel time, you guys are set. Like,
yeah, that's a nice perk to have, for sure.
And you had Aggie dropping like the backstory yesterday, so you got like some serious dialogue for a bit.
Yeah, which was really interesting that she, you know, started to feel comfortable to share that with us. So it, you know, especially with her breakdown that she was having yesterday too, by feeling like she wasn't really making much of a difference in the fight. It does feel like this is helping her come closer to the group, which is nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of story stuff, are you feeling left out that there hasn't really been any Charlie yet, aside from you owning all of the businesses?
That's the story, man. Like, there's nothing else. Like, I know you got some stuff probably coming up, and like that's going to be cool and exciting. But like from Charlie's perspective, there isn't a story. He doesn't know things that might come up, or he should be doing, or he should be exploring his past. It's just like, what can I do now?
Your stuff will very much only come up if you guys go to a very specific place.
Yeah, and I think that's something that just needs to happen organically. Like, if we do, great. If we don't, that's. But like Charlie's super happy. Like, this is like, what else is out there, and like what else am I good at? Like,
yeah, teaching Bubo how to punch, and apparently doing a very good job.
Like, literally knocking me out.
Insane. No proficiency, nothing. Somehow you rolled the perfect number.
Yeah.
Never thrown a punch in your life. 2 backflips or 2 cartwheels, a couple backflips.
Yeah.
Bubo's gonna be thinking and practicing because she thinks she did it wrong, so she's gonna try to practice.
From my perspective, nothing happened. So we were talking, and then it's like it ended.
Oh man.
No, but my character's having a blast, so like he's good. Everything else is a bonus.
Yeah, I like how it's just like information comes up about Charlie randomly. So it's like always like a fun surprise like nugget of information, because apparently, he's might be important too,
Yeah.
but he doesn't know know anything about it. There's just like so many things going on. It's hard to keep track of everything too.
Yeah, because there's always the boards, and Charlie is always talking about the Boar King with every person you guys meet.
Everybody, literally everybody.
Stop it.
Like I'm really hoping, like, in character that I guilt trip you so bad you just blurt it out. But then I'm gonna lose my shit, so like I don't want it to happen.
Yeah, do you remember which thing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I hope, because I fucking
I'm
don't.
Pretty sure it's
I
the
know.
thing that gives me my extra AC, so I really don't want it to go away.
Then stop talking about it.
I can, Charlie can't.
Yeah, no, Charlie is obsessed.
Yeah.
And you guys haven't even left the area yet. Like,
no.
You guys have. You got this whole open world. You guys have gone all these places. 50 days. You guys, 52 now. You guys have spent on the wooden coast.
That like makes it easier or harder for you, because in one like look at it, it's like you got all these cities mapped out, and it's like you probably got at least some starter ideas, if not full-fledged ideas. So it's like, all right, cool. As soon as we go like to the Dark Forest, you're like, good, I got like weeks of material. But then we're going back to the city we just came and exhausted all the story dialogue last week. So I hope you have something new. So I don't know which is harder, honestly.
Speaking of, that is another thing I would like to get better at, is kind of like world rumors. So like just regular passing by, you guys hear like really bad leads or good ones, but like mostly like just really dumb superstitions or rumors. I would like to get better at that.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That's like environment stuff I'm talking about. Like I love the world existing around us and like shit popping up that we're not looking for.
Like the poison flowers, which I could probably
Yeah.
We could probably change that from being like a regular flower to being some type of like poison flower, if anyone wanted to.
Yeah, you've officially made a new poison item, so.
Well, it's an allergy, I guess, but like I don't know if those are real. So like I mean they are now, but like at the same time it could just be a poison flower, and now you have a way to make poison.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
But like in the moment, it just seemed like the best way to go.
It worked.
Yeah, I thought that worked pretty well. It made it very interesting.
Especially with their character dynamic.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that there's like that growing aggression now, but it's like it's backhanded like over and over, and I want to see who's gonna get the upper hand finally.
How do you guys feel about the player-on-player conflict?
Oh, I love it.
Like, yeah, it's always funny.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like we haven't yet got to a point where it actually leads to a fight, and I do want to see that, because like we're not gonna probably end up killing somebody, like, but I would love to see a full-on just like duel, and it's like not just for fun, it's like a serious. I want to see that played out. That'd be fun.
Yeah, Cackler got pretty close, but
Narai was too much of a bitch.
Yeah,
he wasn't gonna fight Cackler. He was just like, all right, we're cool, dude.
Give me a couple more sessions, I could have made it happen.
No, he was chill. You know, we're getting the job done, so it's okay. Like,
is this your most treasured heirloom? Let me see it. And smash. Like I could have made it.
That's just Cackler. You know, that's just how he is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a lot of things as players we'll probably encounter for the first time. Like I said, player on player, like a real fight, just for the sake of that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because I think, ultimately, like so far, and I don't know how much of this really is kind of like organic versus we just kind of veer that way as the campaigns go on. But all of our characters have really meshed well with each other as far as teams go. So really, like Aggie and Aurelia here, it feels like both of them on both sides, because like Narai is just kind of like, okay, whatever, but the two of them I think it's the first time there really has been like annoyance on each side, and they're not trying to find a middle ground. They're just both standing their ground. So it's pretty interesting to like see that, and it's also really funny.
Yeah, like if like a really an Aggie get into like a fist fight, like does Lothian jump in? Does he like trust that Aurelia can handle herself at this point? Like that, like depending on when something like that, if it even happened, like there's so many different ways it could play out. That's super interesting.
Yeah, who gets hurt in the middle trying to break it up? Like, you never know.
Well, Aurelia has really grown a lot in the leadership role too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, even her like in the message saying like, you know, like can you take these people in? That's just like not a selfish thing of just like, you know, I'm trying to look out for myself. Now it's just like, all right, I guess I should be like she's still like apprehensive, like I guess I should be doing these things, but it is starting to come off as genuine, like finally too. Like I think this would be good, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of growth.
So like you said, how we always have characters who kind of always fit the mold of the group and what they need to do, and everyone's got their, you know, role. Would you guys ever want to make a character in secret and bring it to the table with nobody knowing who you are and never announcing what your class is until like, you know, like someone figured it out?
Calliope a little bit was kind of like that, where nobody really knew about her till it was too late.
Well, I mean, a whole table of that. Everyone just
that
comes to the table, nobody announces what they are.
Well, I think that would be really interesting because I think all of us get really excited about the game. We get really excited about our characters. So we're like telling each other, like out of character, day one, like, okay, this is my whole backstory. This is what's going on. This is my subclass, you know, and we were so excited to share and talk about it. But I do think it would probably ultimately add to role play and, you know, have maybe a more enjoyable game if we don't know anything about each other. So now we have to ask in player questions like, okay, so what's your deal? Like, who are you? What kind of spells do you do?
But not only that, you guys might make the same people.
True.
Yeah,
you won't have a utilized group.
Which could be also really interesting because kind of like we were saying earlier, like, okay, we were going to be siblings, so we had that connection, you know, and that would make for like interesting role play. So if there's like two rogues, it's kind of like, okay, maybe there's some like competition that's going to brew between these two that wouldn't have been there if one picked a sorcerer instead.
And even like a step further, I think it'd be cool if like we even get to a point where we get combat and we don't even know what the next person on the line is going to do.
Yeah.
And then after the combat, it's like, all right, we've leveled up. Like now we actually have to talk to somebody across the table and be like, what spells are you picking? So I don't take the same spell because I don't even know what you have.
Yeah, that could be really fun to play, like a blind game.
Well, the most fun is like you would just come to it doesn't even have to be blind after the first game because like now you're already there.
Right.
True. And I'm sure we would be able to guess fairly well.
Oh yeah.
And then we would also be able to play not knowing, you know, in character because I think we're all pretty good at the role play aspect of it so far. So
yeah.
But like I think it would be fun to have multiple of the same class and maybe there's not a tank or maybe there's not a thief or you know.
Too, it would make us potentially like utilize some of these classes in maybe like a better way too, because it's like, you know, you're kind of like the background or the area of effect people are like counting on the forefront people, and if you don't have any forefront people, like, okay, now we have to coordinate and maybe use some of these spells we don't normally get to use that much, you know. So you might get to see more of the classes, which would be interesting too.
Definitely.
What is your guys' favored opinion on starting at a lower or a higher level?
like the role playing aspect of it. So like starting at a lower level, as long as there's not like heavy kind of battle stuff going on, because I think that can get a little boring at like level 1 or 2. Like I think that gets more interesting at like level 3 and 4, and like more fun to kind of play. But like the the lower levels, I think is just like prime. Like okay, let's like really get into these characters. I am interested in playing like a level 20 character at some point, but I don't know. I kind of like starting a little bit later as a level.
Yeah, I think like again, I do like role playing, so like I'm fine with really starting anywhere. I think sometimes level one can be nice because um like especially if it's a class I'm not terribly familiar with because like I might be busy sometimes, especially when we're making new characters. So like we're coming to a session and then we might have like combat on session one and it's like a level three of a class that I'm still kind of even just looking over, so I might be a little overwhelmed. But like that problem goes away very quickly, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's just like stuff that I consider sometimes.
Yeah,
But yeah, if we start too low, we might not hit some of the higher levels eventually, like ever, if depending on how the campaigns go.
yeah. I'm a sucker for the low levels, so that's a personal favorite.
Yeah.
Like most of my campaigns will probably come out
Yep.
at like level 1. Um, a
Yep.
big problem though is like when you do reach the level 10, like how strong you guys were at the end of Strahd, or how strong we were at the end of the Witchlight. Like, there's not a lot the DM can do at that point. Like,
Feel like the first couple of levels and the end levels are the same in the sense that it's like prime role play. Like either you're not too familiar with the battle and mechanics of like how to play your class that way yet, so you're like, okay, let me just figure out this character, or you've learned everything and now you just are the character. And I think like some of those things like we talked about earlier, like a level 15 that's really comfortable in that character is more likely to be asking about, okay, is there like a wall I can run up against, and like utilizing other things, because you probably get tired of doing the same, kind of spells and stuff. So it's like, okay, how can I make this stuff like more interesting?
Right, and then like even thinking about like at higher levels, like again, you kind of start to feel a little bit invincible depending on the scenario. So I think that's where like some of that environment mechanic stuff comes in. Like let's say we're going to kill Strahd and he's at the top of like a snowy mountain. But like halfway there, we got to fight like a mini boss, and then we can't rest after that. So we might be depleted on spells and some health. Like that might be a way to like kind of help that without just like again, all right, the fight's over. I'm gonna eat like 100 good berries and we're good to go. Like trying to
right,
limit those things and like really like yeah. Now you guys are exhausted and you're hurt and you still gotta fight the boss and you can't rest.
And
right.
you're like forced to get more creative. But
Yeah.
I think you have access to things that make that creativity more interesting and possible.
Yeah.
But I would like to
So,
run like a couple at least one shots where you guys are really high level and throw like a Tarask at the group, like one of the famous
Yeah.
like strong monsters or something, just to
well,
get the experience.
you had us do level 1 or level 20 characters that one time, and I think you had us fight a dragon and we
Couple
died like
dragons.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple dragons are still rough even in higher levels.
Yeah.
You he didn't die. He won.
Well, yeah.
Well,
You were the only one
and it was
still
still
standing.
it wasn't as simple as we thought it might have been. Well, depending on the spell list too, maybe we could have made it easier. But
Yeah.
Well,
It's just one
the
of those
cleric never used the heal spell.
also true.
And it was all happening like so fast. Like we were dying so quickly.
No, I get it, but yeah, that's just some of the stuff I would like to experience a little bit more as a group too. Is like some of the more famous things that have happened in D&D. So like,
Right.
but I'm such a sucker for low level. Whenever I start a campaign, it's probably gonna be level 1. I want you
Yeah, I
guys
mean,
to
I'm
be
pretty sure mine will
nobodies.
be Mine will be level 1. She's got to do it.
But I understand the idea of starting at like a 3 or a 5, like, but like I want you guys to be kind of punching bags for a little bit, you know.
Got to get your shots in when you can.
Kind of get you a little wary of the world, and then when you guys level up, you guys can go kill a Hydra, you know.
Yeah.
11-headed Hydra, fucking. How cool is that?
Yeah, I don't know when it was gonna stop. Like, would the heads keep popping up? It just has like a set of damage. Was that how you were going with it? Like, it's got 100 health no matter what.
Well, no, it had 200 health, and then if it took 25 damage in a turn, it would lose a head.
Okay.
And then on its turn, it would grow 2.
Yeah.
And it would get like 10 hit points per head.
Okay.
So it's like, that's not anything.
Yeah. No, that's like kind of a good way to do it, because you still kind of like give us a chance, but you still kind of give yourself a chance to like bounce back from some stuff too. That's pretty good.
And then that's why I like having him just sitting there striking. Like, yeah, that's cool, but like I feel like a head could grab one and like, you know, add a little bit to it, give him a little bit more of a chance, put you guys in a little bit more of a struggle. Like, I don't. I just feel like as players, there needs to be a little bit of a oh shit moment. Like,
No, it has to be. I think there has to be.
And if you don't get that, like, you know.
Well, I was waiting because you said 2 heads had Aggie, so I was waiting for them to like start moving apart from each other.
Yeah.
No, they're not strong enough for that.
Yeah, like try to rip her apart. It's like, oh my god, Aggie's like over there and over there.
Well, she would have been dead if she wasn't raging.
Oh yeah, that's
well,
true.
yeah, but like that's the benefit of her being on the front line, is she took all those hits and still had a lot of life to go. Like,
right,
you took 5 and you were.
Well, you only hit with 4 too, but they were just like 15, 13 damage.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I got lucky. I was rolling good. I was like, oh no. But I just feel like that needs to be there, and like I understand most of the time you guys think I'm trying to kill somebody, but I'm really not.
I say that because it can happen, it might happen, but yeah, it's fun. No, I enjoy that. I'm not ever like pissed or anything.
Right? No. I know.
I'm gonna give you shit because that makes me happy.
Yeah, no. I'm just letting you guys know. Like, I am aiming for that oh shit moment, but I don't really want y'all to die.
Now, if I flip the table, you know that maybe you went a little too far.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. Monopoly.
Yeah, I mean, part of the fun is like the risk, you know. So I think that definitely adds to it.
Yeah, like I got some mountain passes and stuff like that are going to require like some skill checks and stuff like that. Some might lead to like immediate death, but generally not. Like, there's always going to be some kind of chance.
Sure.
Bubo can fly, so there's always that.
Yeah, thank God she has that ability.
But if there's heavy winds, you might be in trouble, Bubo.
Oh, I'm sure.
You're gonna have to start asking for wind speed on like certain areas.
Well, that's the other part too, is like the weather checks and stuff like that. I need to be a little bit better about like having those and like what they mean. Because we could have had that Hydra fight in the middle of a rainstorm, but I forgot to do weather, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Bubo doesn't really fly around too much, and it's not because she can't or anything like that, but it really is more about she wasn't raised around other, you know, creatures like her. She wasn't raised with you know, even around many other animals. So she was raised around humanoids, so she's just used to walking along like everybody else. And then it's like, oh, okay, the flying thing, like when that happens, it's more out of an unconscious like instinct thing.
Yeah.
So she's definitely like, I mean, Calliope, she was a fairy. She's just fluttering all the time. But Bubo is like, oh yeah, I could fly up there, I guess, if you guys need me to.
Well, I'm glad you put a story to that, because I technically robbed you of the flying early in this campaign because a misunderstanding on that component.
Oh,
And one of my other epic failures is Calliope, because we could have made her a tiny creature instead of a small, which could have been a lot more fun as far as
yeah.
role play and stuff goes, and it would have been, I think more up her alley to be Tinkerbell-esque.
Well, I thought about that, but I thought it would be more, I don't know. It felt weird being like a tiny creature because nobody's really played one before. We haven't seen it at the table.
Yeah.
So when I was creating that character, I did think about that, but I was like, I don't know. I'm probably gonna die instantly. I'll be small. I'll give myself like a chance.
Well, none of that changes. The only thing that changes is like your carry capacity and stuff. Like you still get the same hit points, same weapons.
I guess it's true.
Yeah.
You're just
I don't know. It's
itty bitty.
Yeah, that would.
Unless you like fly under a rock and the rock collapses and kills you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that could have happened. But I don't know if Calliope would have been the same leader
No.
to Fuchs.
Now you look here.
Teach me your ways.
Oh man.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun characters.
I suppose that is a good stopping point there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining. Don't forget to smile, everybody.